Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Adam here with Retro Repairs, and it's time for another repair video. So as you see here, I've got a controller for a PS4, which is not really that retro. However, it does have a problem with it, which I want to show you how to fix. So I'm going to just dive right into it here. You might notice the thumbsticks. They have these little textured blue thing on top of it, which are just little covers that I bought. They're pretty cheap, but the reason for that is you look at this and it's just completely worn away around the edge here. See how it's shiny there and matte there? The rubber's starting to peel up or peel down. So these are really just in rough shape. Same with the other one. So these have seen quite a bit of use. I picked this up used, I think, at a pawn shop for pretty cheap, maybe like 15 bucks or something, which is pretty cheap for a PS4 controller still. So I'm gonna try and fix this up. I've gone ahead and I've purchased some replacement thumbsticks, and those have arrived today. So here's what we've got right here. These are the thumbsticks that they just shipped me. So they come in these little packages. They're just replacements and they're gonna pop right in. So let's dive right into opening this up. So first thing you're going to need to do, flip this over and grab yourself a small precision Phillips screwdriver. And there's 4 screws on the back which you need to remove. Okay, so now that that's removed, this shell will split open, but it does take a little bit of work. You gotta work along the seam because it really just kind of snaps into each other. If you've got some sort of spudging tool like this, you can sometimes get in there and kind of split it all apart this way. This is just a little plastic nylon stick which is used for opening up cell phone bodies, but it works the same kind of way. There you go. So once you have it separated, you're going to gently pull it open and be very gentle because there is a ribbon connector which connects the board in here to this little daughter board which controls the LED at the top. So we're just going to gently disconnect it and put this off to the side. So now we're going to turn our focus to the main part of the controller here, which has all the guts in it. So we've got this battery here, which you can disconnect just by, again, gently grabbing and pulling at this connector straight out, and you can put the battery off to the side. Next, you're going to need to get this little cradle off. There we go. So it helps a bit if you push it, try and shift it up this way, and then you can pry off one part, and then you bring it down the other way, and it will just lift right up. So now there's one more screw in here, which you're going to need to remove. And I think this screw is slightly different than the ones that held it is. So a little bit different than the screws that held the actual shell together. It's probably not able to tell on the camera here, but just make a note of that and maybe keep it separate. So now we're going to lift off this ribbon connector right here, or just pull it out. Yeah, okay, it just pulls straight out. Then you can put that off to the side there, and that should now come straight up. Again, being careful because you don't want to rip these wires that go to the vibe motors off, but now we've got the board here. So these sticks will actually just pop straight up. All you need to do is lift them up, put them out of the way. Perfect. So the rest of this is kind of all held together in this plastic enclosure. So if you were to lift it up, again being careful that you're not really prying on anything, it will all come straight out and you can see what the other side looks like. So it has this thin little plastic membrane which will have the circuitry for the buttons on it, and then I think it just needs a little bit of a cleanup. So what's this? This is the PlayStation button and a speaker here. So this is just a speaker grill. I'm just going to brush that gently with a toothbrush because being a grill, it does let in dirt and dust and debris and stuff. So kind of clean that off a bit. And I'm just going to sit the rest of this here just off to the side, I think. Yeah, just like so. It sits like that. I'm going to put that off to the side and we're going to clean up this shell a bit more. So turning back to here, removing the conductive pads. Once again, these are the same kind of technology that's existed in controllers ever since really like the Nintendo or maybe even the Ataris had something like that. Lift the buttons out. The D-pad over here. Put that off to the side. Lift up the D-pad. And then the share and the options button. Carefully don't lose those. And then that little trackpad here. So this trackpad I'm not going to wash the way I do normally. I'm just going to give the outside of it a bit of a clean with some alcohol and a toothbrush. So just kind of like so actually. Just want to get around the crevices and stuff here. Get out any dust, any dirt, debris, or as what most of this stuff that actually gets caught in these cracks is, old decaying, dirty old skin cells. So clean that up, set it off to the side to dry. Check out this. Underneath here, underneath where that trackpad is, look at how gross that is. That's probably just another example of, it might be some like Pepsi or something in there, but a lot of it also, especially in the D-pad, just going to be old skin cells, old rancid fat and grease. So yeah, that's what sits in your controllers. So I highly recommend cleaning them out given an opportunity. Does this come out? Oh yeah, there we go. So you lift up from the one side and this white part comes up. This LED diffuser will lift up and it's kind of just taped into place. This will pop off to the side, or pop out, and then I can unscrew this whole pad. Oops. Or this whole, not pad, but board. And now this whole thing should come up. Might need some convincing with this tape. It's taped on right here. So you're gonna have to lift up this little piece of electrical tape. It's honestly what it looks like, is just electrical tape. And then this can lift out and be put aside. Then I'm actually going to rip this whole part off. Oops, that broke. It's just the way it's going to go, I guess. And leave that off to the side. So this whole thing is going to get a clean. There we go. So that's the shell completely disassembled. I guess really these are just two parts plus the buttons that need to be cleaned. The rest of it isn't anything that's going to get wet. So let's put this in the water, clean it up, and begin reassembly shortly. So all we're doing here, we got some hot water. Just dunk your parts in. And the buttons, make sure it's in there. Make sure it's really hot. That's going to help kind of melt away the grease and the grossness that's in there. And just going to let it sit for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. come back, scrub it out, dry it off, and begin reassembly. Alright, so we got all the parts here, and they've been cleaned out, and these are looking relatively good. I mean, there's a little scuffed up, there's little scratches in that, but otherwise on the inside, looks a lot better. All that brown, gross stuff is gone. Inside the D-pad looks good. And otherwise, just give these guys a good dust down and ready for reassembly. So what I'm going to do is start with the back portion of it and reassemble this LCD part. So we need the diffuser, this little clip which holds it in place, and this this little board here. So, oh yeah, those are LEDs down at the bottom, I guess. So what I think I'm going to do first is put that into place. I believe this came out last. So lift up this tape. You got to get the charging port just into place through this hole here. And then everything should neatly sit on. There's some little posts right in there. There we go. And then pop that tape right like so. Next is this plastic piece here, which goes on the outside. I'm actually going to give this a bit of just a brush down, as I didn't actually clean this part. So this is just some alcohol. Give it a scrub, get any dust and loose particles and stuff off. And it should just sit nicely right in here. There we go. So flip it on the other side and it should be nice and flush. So that's going to sit in place there. This part is going to fit right like that. And, oops, I missed a couple screws first. These little silver screws get screwed into this board. Now, trick for doing these, screw your screw out, or do it backwards first until you feel a little click, and then screw it forwards and tighten it up. So what that does is it aligns the threads of these screws with the actual threads in the plastic shell, prevents you from stripping them and putting them in crooked. There we go. And then in like that. This part should fit just like so. And then this little foam piece of tape kind of just tacks the bottom into place. But this white part right here is what really holds it on where it needs to be. There, just like that, I think. There. So that clips in. So I'm going to try and show you again what I did. So the little angled parts pointing down, and there's a part that has like a 45 degree, not quite 45, but that's going to face the top. Basically, I put this end in first, and then holding that in place, line this up, and it snaps right into place. So this isn't going anywhere. This is firmly attached there. All right. Next, I'm going to put this off to the side, as I think we're done with that for the time being. And then take a look at this. So there's a little, it looks like dog hair in this motor. So I'm going to try and pick whatever I can out of here. This isn't my dog. My dog has black, kind of curly, husky mix hair. So it's a lot different. Whoever had this before me also had a dog and somehow got dog or maybe cat hair into their vibe motor in their PS4 controller, which I'm not really sure how is possible, but whatever, I've seen stranger things. Okay, so let's get the new joysticks or thumbsticks. I'll pull them out of here. So these I just bought on eBay. I think they cost, I don't know, maybe $4, $5, maybe less. But all you really do, you line them up and you pop them on top of these sticks here. There we go. There's one. And then the same thing for the other one. Make sure you get a little click and that they move nicely, and that should be good. Next, we've got a couple ribbon connectors which need to be attached. So one's going to attach into here to this touchpad here. One is going to attach into the back here for the LED and the charger. Next step here is going to be all the buttons. So let's put this off to the side and put in our buttons. So you want to make sure that this PlayStation button's going in the correct way. It looks as if, no, you will not be able to fit it in improperly, so you don't actually have to worry about that. And then the little conductive pads go over top of it all. Same thing with the triangle button. Again, it's only going to fit in one particular way, like that. Square button, circle button, and the X button. Cool. Over top of all of these, you're going to have the conductive pads, which go right there. You want to make sure that there's little posts here which hold them into place nicely, so we just want to make sure they're sitting flat, not going to fall or anything like that. This goes same thing with the little conductive pads for the D-pad. Go just like so. Now the option button and the start button, or whatever the heck they're called, there, they only go in one way, so you can't put the wrong ones where they don't belong, so you don't really have to worry about that. So those are done. All of the buttons and all those pads are put into place, so now we can put this part on. Okay, so the easiest way I've found to reassemble the top part of the shell is with this touchpad just sitting into it right now. All the buttons are there, and the touchpad is disconnected from the board. Now what we're going to do is take this with the black plastic cover off and sort of line it up with roughly where you want to go, but you're not going to drop it into place yet. This ribbon connector right here needs to fit through a little hole in this plastic right there as you drop it into place, just like that. Now give it a bit of a wiggle until everything kind of snaps into place, and then you can connect this ribbon connector just like so. It should go in relatively easy. So that's working, that's fitting nicely. Do not forget to screw this board into the front of the shell using that extra black screw that we pulled out. So again, back the screw out until you feel a bit of a click, and then screw it in. Don't over tighten it. There we go, that should be good. And then if you flip it over, these buttons should feel just right. So you should be able to move these. It's not gonna completely stay. Actually, I can screw that in a bit tighter. There we go. Kind of stopped a little bit early. There. So everything should be sitting nicely. This little extension and headphones should be sitting up against the shell. These buttons should be right where they're supposed to be. This should have a little bit of a click action, and your buttons should feel proper. If all is feeling good, now we can put this cover into place, and it will just snap now, just like so. And almost the last thing is the battery. So line up the battery. How you took it out should sit just like that. Now, I'm not positive if these are standard batteries or not. They look pretty generic to me. It's not marked with anything, so someone might have replaced the battery previously. I'm not sure. But to be honest with you, this is the first one that I've disassembled, so I don't really have a lot to go by on that. But it's now sitting nicely, and what we have to do now is connect this last ribbon onto the board. So the way you get the proper orientation, you see how this is folded? The blue side will face to the left if you were to hold it the way it's supposed to be, so that's this side here. But you can kind of just get an idea of how it's supposed to be based on how it's folded, and it fits just into that slot. Now, you work the trigger buttons in first, keeping everything kind of facing down. Trigger buttons go in. You gotta fit the shell around these posts. And it's kind of a... You're gonna have to fiddle with this a little bit to get everything sitting just right the way it's supposed to be. And then snap it together, and we should be good. So if you feel the sides, everything should be, this is not quite in. Everything's sitting pretty well. The buttons feel good. So let's screw this together and we'll give it a test just to make sure that everything is working properly. So okay, so let's go do a couple tests, make sure that this is working the way as intended. Okay, so let's try a couple just quick things. So the sticks work, D-pad works, PlayStation button works, circle button works, X works. Looks like it's working properly. We're getting a connection to the PlayStation, so I think we are good to go. So that's going to be it for today. I appreciate you watching this video. Hope you were able to find something informative about it and hopefully be able to repair some bad thumbsticks you might have on your controller. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to like it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm going to try and get a new video out at least every week, and we'll see you next time.